Are you considering being a freelancer? Are you unsure of whether you're going to enjoy working alone? Today I want to talk about the pros and cons of working alone because not everyone is cut out for it. Hello. Before I even get started talking about working alone, first things first is, what do you guys think of the new setup? I moved into a new apartment, as you guys saw if you watched my 500 Seneca introduction video, and this is going to be where I'm going to be recording more of my kind of talking head style videos that I used to do in front of the bookshelf. So please let me know what you think of this setup in the comments below. Don't be shy, I'm very curious to know. Today I want to talk about working alone because there are benefits and major downsides to working alone. I think that being your own boss and being an entrepreneur is a very hot thing right now. It seems like that's what everyone wants to do. And while I think that it is an amazing thing, and there are so many benefits that we'll talk about when you're your own boss, there are also some downsides, and that is really important to consider if you're deciding to make the leap and start your own business. So let's talk about the benefits first. I think that the first benefit to working alone is how quickly you can move. When you're your own boss and you work alone, you can move quickly because there's no one else that you need to rely on to get started with a project. If you meet with a client and you hit it off, you can just get started doing that work. When you work in a team, there are usually other people that you have to collaborate with and make sure that you get their input and their feedback, and that can slow down the process. So that's the first benefit, is when you work alone, you can just move faster because it's just you calling the shots. The second benefit to working alone is autonomy. You get to decide your schedule, your clients, how you do things, the way that you execute things, what hours you work, how often you work. You have complete autonomy and complete control over your schedule, and that's a really empowering thing. So that's a major benefit to working by yourself. If you want to go to a yoga class at noon, you can do that. If you want to call it a day at 3 p.m., you have the authority to do that. And that's awesome. I think the autonomy factor is probably what sells people on being their own boss and working for themselves in the first place. The third benefit that I think comes from working alone is freedom and flexibility. You have the freedom to decide who you work for and what kind of work you do. If you work as a part of a team or for a company, you might get thrown on projects that you're not a huge fan of. So the autonomy, the freedom and flexibility, and the ability to move fast, those are three major benefits that I found when I was working alone. Working alone is not just butterflies and rainbows. There are some downsides that I learned and fully experienced when I was working by myself, and these three things that I'm about to share were a huge driver as to why I decided to join the agency, Telesco Creative Group, that I currently work at. The first downside to working by yourself is it gets lonely. I am someone that is an extrovert, like the classic definition of an extrovert, meaning I get energy being around other people, and so working alone was tiring. Human interaction gives me energy, so the lack of it was definitely draining. Not only was it draining, it was just lonely. There was no one for me to say, hey, can you take a look at this image and let me know what you think? Or which line of copy do you think will work better? The fact that I didn't have anyone that I could bounce those things off of made it difficult. And so the loneliness factor is definitely something to consider if you are thinking about going out on your own. The second downside to working by yourself is that you might likely be able to do less. When you work as a part of a team like I do now, I have support. I have amazing graphic designers at my disposal that can help create images for Facebook ads or images for a social media. If you work alone, you might not have that support team. You have limited resources because it's just you. And so that might mean that you're not able to do projects on as big a scale or as robust as you would if you were a part of a team with just more resources available to you. The third downside to working by yourself is you are it. That is the major downside to working by yourself, is you don't have that support team to be able to either do bigger work and do different kinds of projects, or to cover you if you get sick or you need some support. If your business is growing really quickly and you start to get a lot of clients and your workload just continues to go up, eventually you're gonna need that support. So when it comes down to it, everyone is different in terms of their preferences, and some people love working alone. And for some, the benefits that I mentioned are the downsides, and the downsides that I mentioned are the benefits. Everyone is different. I noticed that I have way more energy when I joined the team than when I was working by myself. What it comes down to is figuring out what works for you. If you are someone that gets energized and thrives in a group setting, working by yourself might be very challenging. So if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what is your preference. Are you more of the work alone or work in a team type? Until next time, I'll see ya!